6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Malavarachi and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. Hindus all over the world celebrate Deepavali festival today. The President in his Deepavali message says the nation is gradually embarking on a path of illuminated development. The budget for the year 2024 will be presented in the Parliament tomorrow. The report on Dana Gamage brawl will be handed over to the Speaker tomorrow. In news overseas, French President Macron urges Israel to stop killing Gaza's women and children. And in sports news, the 4 semi-finalists have been confirmed for the knockout stage of the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the local news. Hindus all over the world celebrate Deepavali festival today. They express greetings to all Hindu devotees on this auspicious occasion. Deepavali is a significant festival celebrating the triumph of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance, and good over evil. Deepavali festivities commemorate epic legends of victories secured by God Vishnu, restoring the balance of good and evil in troubled times. Devotees illuminate lamps and participate in religious rites, upholding the shared aspiration of infusing light within every soul. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in his Deepavali message, said, reflecting on the country's recent experience of an unprecedented economic crisis, the government sought to help Sri Lanka navigate through the unparalleled challenges. At present, the nation is gradually embarking on a path of illuminated development, seeking to dispel the preceding times of darkness. As people celebrate Deepavali, it is my fervent hope that the nation unites on this occasion and becomes a beacon, igniting the lamps of prosperity across the country, steering Sri Lanka towards being a developed country by the year 2048. The President wishes this festival of light bring prosperity and well-being while extending happy Deepavali wishes to all Sri Lankans and Hindus worldwide. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena in his Deepavali message says all Sri Lankans should be united to rebuild the country, forgetting their petty differences. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in his capacity as the Minister of Finance, will present the budget for the year 2024 in the Parliament tomorrow at 12 noon. The debate on the second reading of the 2024 budget will begin on the 14th of November and continue for 7 days until the 21st of November. Following the debate, the vote on the second reading of the budget will be taken on the 21st at 6 p.m. The committee stage debate will be beginning on the 22nd of November and continue until the 13th of December. The vote on the third reading will be taken on the 13th of December at 6 p.m. State Minister of Finance Dr. Ranjit Siamlapitiya told the media that none of the demands presented with regard to the budget 2024 would be discarded and highlighted the importance of deliberation on all economic issues. A salary hike for the state sector employees is to be proposed in the upcoming budget. Sports Minister Rushan Ranasinghe says Sri Lanka will appeal over its suspension from the International Cricket Council. He says that the temporary suspension of Sri Lanka cricket by the ICC is an act of vengeance. Minister Ranasinghe said there was no political interference in running Sri Lanka cricket. He regretted that the ICC move had been made apparently without any consultation with the government. Interim committees have been appointed several times in the past without the ICC taking any such action. This is not the way. When ICC or any other body applies a ban, they have a long procedure. But this was a surprise and it is not ethical, Mr. Ranasinghe said. How can they condemn a country like this, he asked. SLC officials have been reinstated in their posts following a court order, denied corruption allegations and said they would work with the government to get the ICC suspension lifted. A crisis erupted in Sri Lanka cricket after the men's team won only 2 matches out of the 9 games at the World Cup 2023 in India, including a huge loss to the host nation. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Excelsior. Live the life you want.
And we continue with more local news. The Parliamentary Committee appointed to probe the altercation involving Tourism State Minister Diana Gamage and Samagi Janabalawege MPs Rohana Bandara and Sujith Pereira will hand over its recommendations of punishments to the Speaker tomorrow. They may be punished with suspension of taking part in parliamentary proceedings for some time. On the 20th of October, an altercation occurred within the parliamentary premises between State Minister Diana Gamage and SJB MPs Rohana Bandara and Sujith Pereira. 3 persons, including the chairman of the Central Environment Authority, who were arrested for soliciting a bribe of 10 million rupees, have been remanded. Accordingly, the trio were remanded until the 16th of November on orders of the Colombo Magistrate Court when the case was taken up yesterday. They had reportedly solicited the bribe within the premises of the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources for a project being conducted by the CEA. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. Hindus all over the world celebrate Deepavali festival today. The President in his Deepavali message says the nation is gradually embarking on a path of illuminated development. The budget for the year 2024 will be presented in the Parliament tomorrow. The report on Diana Gamage brawl will be handed over to the Speaker tomorrow. And that was the local news.
People's Bank Excelsior, a comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you. People's Bank Excelsior, for professionals who dare to dream.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Veda Mahatma.
The main news story for this morning, Minister of Trade Nalin Fernando has asserted that necessary measures will be taken to seal all warehouses that do not release sugar stocks. Speaking to the media, the minister noted that such efforts against the recently introduced maximum retail price of sugar will not be tolerated. He further stated that information has also been received that several vendors continue to sell sugar at higher prices than stipulated MRP and noted that the measures will be taken against such vendors too. Consumer Affairs Authority has set an MRP for both white and brown sugar. Accordingly, packaged and unpackaged brown sugar is sold at 350 rupees per kilogram and 330 rupees per kilogram respectively, while the packaged and unpackaged white sugar is sold at 295 rupees per kilogram and 275 rupees per kilogram in their respective order. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Veda Mahatma.
In Watchlight this morning, the National Dengue Control Unit Director Dr. Nalin Ariyaratne said that the number of dengue high-risk zone has increased up to 44. Dengue breeding spots have been discovered from public places and government and private institutions in addition to the homes. He also urged the public to be vigilant on all types of mosquito breeding sites and destroy them on a regular basis. That came to you in Watchlight, and now let's move on to the headlines of the world news. French President Macron urges Israel to stop killing Gaza's women and children. NASA astronaut Frank Borman, who led Apollo's 8 moon mission, dies. Pope Francis fires Texan bishop after criticism of reforms. Those are the headlines, and now let's move to the details of the world news. France's President Macron, in an exclusive interview with the BBC, has urged Israel to stop killing women and babies in Gaza, reiterating his call for a ceasefire in the war. He has said there was no reason for the vulnerable people to be bombed and killed and that Israel's actions had no legitimacy. He called on the US and the UK to support a ceasefire, but he also stressed that France clearly condemns what he called the terrorist actions of Hamas. Former NASA astronaut Frank Borman, who led the first ever space mission around the moon on Apollo 8, has died. He passed away in Billings, Montana, aged 95, the agency said. Mr. Borman and his 2 fellow astronauts were the first humans ever to see the far side of the moon on the Apollo 8 expedition in the year 1968. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson remembered Mr. Borman as one of NASA's best and a true American hero who dedicated his work. His lifelong love for aviation and exploration was only surpassed by his love for his wife, Susan, he said. Pope Francis has fired the Texan Bishop Joseph Strickland on fierce critic who has questioned Pope's leadership of the Catholic Church. The Vatican said the bishop would be relieved of his duties as a result of the investigations at his diocese of Tyler. Bishop Strickland is a leading voice in the branch of U.S. Catholicism that is opposed to Pope's reforms. His removal comes after Pope Francis spoke of the backwardness of some U.S. Catholic Church leaders. And that was the world news.
Development News.
Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijayasekara has directed officials for swift progress on 6 major renewable energy projects. During a meeting held recently, he reviewed the progress of initiatives slated to be completed by the end of this month based on obtaining necessary environmental and land clearance approvals. That was the development news, and it's going to be sports news coming up.
Moving on with sports news.
The 4 semi-finalists have been confirmed for the knockout stages of the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup for the year 2023. Host India will finish top of the standings and already locked into a tackle New Zealand in a knockout semi-final on Wednesday, the 15th of November. The second semi-final will be held on the following day, with South Africa and Australia to battle for a place in the final on Thursday, the 16th of November at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. The World Cup final will be held in the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad on Sunday, the 19th of November, where more than 100,000 fans are expected to attend. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
As Shopping of the Year drawing to a close, the Commercial Bank of Ceylon has unveiled a series of exciting discount opportunities in November and December in partnership with Daraz, South Asia's largest e-commerce platform. From today to the 17th of November, Friday, all purchases by Commercial Bank credit card holders will be eligible for a site-wide 10% discount under the Daraz 1111 promotion. That is the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, 5 institutions under the purview of the State Ministry of Primary Industries formally presented their annual dividends to the Treasury recently. A formal ceremony presided over by President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat marked the remittances of a sum amounting to 925 million rupees to the Treasury. The National Gems and Jewellery Authority has contributed 350 million rupees and a further 300 million rupees was remitted by Lanka Phosphate Company, 100 million rupees each by BCC Lanka and National Salt Company, and 75 million rupees by Sri Lanka Cement Corporation. That is economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
Prevailing showery weather condition is expected to enhance over the next few days. Starting from tomorrow, the Department of Meteorology says showers or thundershowers are likely at several places in many provinces after 1 p.m. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the western, central, Sabaragamuwa, southern and eastern provinces and in the Kurunegala and Polonnaruwa districts. And before we conclude this bulletin, let's get back to the headlines once again. Hindus all over the world celebrate Deepavali festival today. The President in his Deepavali message says the nation is gradually embarking on a path of illuminated development. The budget for the year 2024 will be presented in the Parliament tomorrow. The report on Dana Gamage Brawl will be handed over to the Speaker tomorrow. In news overseas, French President Macron urges Israel to stop killing Gaza's women and children. And in sports news, the 4 semi-finalists have been confirmed for the knockout stage of the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup. And with that, we conclude this bulletin for this morning. And before I hand over to your Sunday morning host who is sitting in today's Shaggy, let me wish all the Hindus all around the world a happy Deepavali day.